Hey YouTube, it's me, Lauren Cadillac with Cadillac Law. I'm coming to you today with another segment in our series about Texas real estate tax exemptions. And this one is the whopper. This one today is the homestead. And it's the one that applies to everyone in their home. So before we get started, as always, nothing we do here today creates an attorney-client relationship. This is not legal advice. This is just general knowledge that I'm sharing with you, the public, because I have it and I believe knowledge is power. Before we move any further, make sure you hit like and subscribe and click that little bell. You'll get notifications, and that way you won't miss any of this thrilling series about Texas real estate tax exemptions. Don't want to miss a thing. Okay, so today is the elusive homestead. All right. In order to qualify for a homestead exemption in the state of Texas, you must live in the residence on January 1st. I personally purchased a house that was supposed to close in December, and some stuff happened, and we didn't end up closing until January 12th. Do you know that year I had no homestead cap, I had no homestead exemption, I had full-blown retail taxes. It was so upsetting. So whatever you do, make sure you're in the property on the first day of the year, okay? It must be your principal residence, and you can only have one homestead. So you can't have two houses and say, well, they're both my homestead. It's not gonna work that way. If you own the property with someone else, for instance, I had a friend whose dad co-owned her property with her, only she lived there. She only got a 50% homestead exemption. He had his homestead elsewhere. So if you share it with people who don't live there, you're only going to get the percent of homestead that you or whoever lives there or treats it as their homestead gets. If you are a married couple, it's going to be considered community property, and if the two of you live there, it's going to be 100% homestead for the two of you. And if you're a single person and you own it outright, 100% homestead for you. So just be aware of that, especially in the cases where folks have someone who co-signs and does not live with them. The homestead exemption is a $25,000 general exemption from the value of your property. So if they assess the value at 100, it is now, you're taxed at 75,000. There is also a homestead cap of 10% a year. So in the $100,000 example, my house is $100,000 this year, it's taxed at 75, but next year it doubles in value. Now it's a $200,000 house. Well, I don't have to pay taxes on the full $200,000 because of the 10% cap. It's now $110,000 that I'll end up paying taxes on year 2 when it's now doubled. Here's the catcher though. If in year 3 it went up to $300,000, right? The cap is 10%, so it's going to be growing exponentially every year. It's 10% of the prior year's value. So the year before it was 200, so now it's going to be 220. That's a big increase, right? So because of that cap, it's great because it helps minimize things on a year-to-year basis, but we still need to protest those values because as they grow, the cap follows the year before. So when you get reassessed, your cap is essentially getting reassessed. And that freaks people out, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yes, it's a scam, I know. But that's what makes protesting your values so important. Other thing to know about homestead is it can be up to 20 acres. So we have in this series talked about ag exemptions. Acreage can be used for ag exemption, but you can also use it as a homestead, and as long as you're using that property for your residential use and it is your homestead, right? In order to obtain the exemption, you need to fill out the form from the comptroller's website, or most appraisal districts, you can enter your address and just hit print form. It'll come pre-filled for you. Make sure you check that box that says that you live there on January 1st, sign it, get it to the appraisal district by April 30th, but do know that you have a 2-year statute of limitation. So if you forgot to do it this year, you can always do it next year or even the year after, and they will go back and they will fix and they will reimburse. So your homestead exemption it does help. It gives you the cap, it reduces your value, and it should help you be able to manage a little easier than if we didn't have it. I hope you've learned something here today. I hope you've enjoyed this series, and I hope you join us again. Thank you and have a good one.